I've loved museums since I was a kid. My mom knew how much I loved art, so she put me in a program called Partners in Art, founded by a woman at my church, Dr. Paulette Fleming. In the program, we would go to Fresno State's campus and spend time in Dr. Fleming's classroom, learning about and creating with various art mediums like clay and dioramas. My favorite part was when we would go to art museums, and with our sketch pads, we were invited to roam the museum and sketch anything that was of interest to us. Over time, family trips became solo trips, and what remained consistent was having a museum step on the itinerary. It could be art, cultural, historical. As long as it was a museum, I was joyous. Museums are a magical place where time feels suspended. Things are captured there from all sorts of periods of time, from all over the world, and for all sorts of reasons. I can spend hours upon hours in them, and I do. When I discovered that my family is depicted in the Benin Bronzes, I was amazed. I began to research about them, and I realized that they were in museums across the world, and I had seen them. I'm a big advocate of not forgetting to travel within one's own backyard. And when I learned that the Los Angeles County Museum of Art had Benin Bronzes, as well as different artifacts related to the professions that my ancestors held, I was so excited to see them. Given that museums have always felt accessible to me, I contacted the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. I was put in contact with a collection specialist, and the museum gave me an inventory list to look up what I wanted to see. It was so exciting. They were doing construction, so they were unable to accommodate my request at that time and told me I could see them when they were on display. They also told me that they would contact me that fall. They didn't, so I emailed them and I received no response. In my earlier communications with the museum, they were focused on me seeing the art when they were back on display, but that wasn't my request. I wanted a private experience with items that my ancestors may have touched and that my ancestors commissioned, items that were hung in their palace. I wanted what I call a beyond the glass experience. Given my love of museums, I regularly watch YouTube videos with journalists and others who are in a back room of a museum, perhaps with white gloves on, experiencing the art uniquely. This experience was the first time in my life a museum felt inaccessible to me. At some point, I questioned, what authority did the collection staff have over known stolen art than me, who can document my lineage to them? I wasn't asking to take the artifacts home. I don't think they belong to me, but they did belong to my ancestors, and since I'm carefully documenting our history, I thought at the very least I should take my own photos for preservation that are unique from the ones in the public domain. Given my long-standing interest in museums, I've learned some things over the years. I know the importance of having good provenance over art collected for and on display in museums. I've read plenty of articles and watched news stories about countries returning art to places they originate. Because the Benin Bronzes were stolen, good provenance does not exist. So what should happen with the pieces? I haven't formed a full opinion, but I plan to as I film and interview for my documentary. In the meantime, as long as art is housed at museums, they should be preserved for many generations beyond me. They should also be accessible to people in ways like what I'm requesting. I don't think my ask was too much, and I admit it diminished my love of museums a bit.